I'm Dara. Thanks for coming to see me. Today I want to talk about 10 reasons why hand sewing can be just as good and sometimes better than sewing by machine. I have had a sewing machine for my whole adult life, and I've done quite a few things with it, made my own clothes when I was a young woman and made Halloween costumes for my kids when they were small. And I really appreciate having a sewing machine, and I still get a lot done with it. As I've gotten older and since I've started staying home, my crafting has become as much about the process as the product. So it has led me to appreciate hand sewing more than I used to when I was working. Although I want what I make to stand up to wear and wash, I did some experimenting, and hand sewing can be just as sturdy as sewing on the machine. But having said all that, let's get into the 10 reasons why hand sewing is as good as or better than machine. So reason number one, hand sewing is budget friendly to get started. So you don't need to make an investment in any special equipment, a spool of thread, a needle, a pair of scissors, and you can get going. Related to that is hand sewing is also beginner friendly. So it's a couple of basic skills: tie a knot in the thread, learn the running stitch, and how to tie it off securely, and you can get started. Hemming your curtains, repairing a torn seam, sewing on a button. Hand sewing can be quick for me. It can be quicker than getting my machine out and threading it and then putting my machine away. I like this one. Hand sewing is quiet. So I can be working on my hand sewn project with my spouse or my pet sleeping right beside me, and it doesn't disturb them. Hand sewing is really good for precise work. So if I have a tiny hem or a small corner that I'm working on, I will hand sew it rather than put it through the machine, and because the machine will often chew up that kind of thing. Related to that, hand sewing is also very good for fine fabric. I recently made over a 1970s wedding dress for my daughter, and I did quite a lot of that by hand because the fabric was extremely fragile and I didn't want to take the risk of my machine damaging it. Number 7, hand sewing takes up very little space. So a project can be tidied away and tucked under a bed, in a closet, wherever it's out of your way, and then it is, there's hardly any, as long as you don't build a huge stash of fabric, then it takes up next to no space. Hand sewing is also portable, so in the house I can pick up my sewing and go put myself in a comfortable chair in front of a window or at the table, wherever I need to be to work on it. Small projects can also be taken on vacation or to visiting. I wouldn't take my hand sewing on transit or to waiting rooms because I'm too afraid I would drop my needle and it would poke somebody. Number 9, hand sewing can be picked up and put down with relative ease. So I'm a knitter as well, and I find that when I'm working on more complex things, if I have to put my knitting down during a sequence, it stresses me out because I'm afraid I won't be able to find my spot when I get back or remember where I left off. And similarly, I'm also a junk journaler. So if I want to sit down and do junk journaling, I feel like I need a decent chunk of time before it's worth it to get everything out and get started on my journal. With hand sewing, if I even pick it up for 15 minutes, I still feel like it's worth it and I can get a few stitches done and it's no big deal to put it back down again. I can always figure out where I left off. The best reason I've saved for last, which is I find hand sewing very relaxing. The motion of the in and out of the needle through the fabric, the sound of the thread pulling through the fabric, and the feedback of the feel of what I'm working on through my hands and into my brain, for me, is extremely relaxing and soothing, and it's, I think, the main reason why I prefer now to hand sew over machine sew. I bet there are plenty of other reasons why people like to hand sew versus machine sew. So if you think of one that I've missed here, please put it in the comments. Thank you so much for watching today. I'll see you again next time. Hi, I'm Dara. Okay, my cat. Hello, I'm Dara. Why do I want you to be like, hello, I'm Dara. So because, today I want to talk about why 10 reasons, really? Not like that. Hello, I'm Dara.